Hey, what's up guys? So I'm a huge fan of horror games, whether it be survival horror games like the Resident Evil franchise, to even psychological horror games like Silent Hill and Outlast. I'm always looking forward to the next big game of the genre. Now, I know there are just some games I just will never be able to play, such as PT, which I'm actually still pretty bummed out about to this day. I was wondering if there were some games that I may have missed out on over the years, not because they were never released, but because they were never released in America. So, upon my exploration, here are the top 5 horror games never released in the US. Number 5. The Silent Hill Play Novel. Our first horror game on this list is the Silent Hill Play Novel released for the Game Boy Advance on March 21st, 2001. This game was a Japan exclusive and never saw an international release. The Silent Hill Play Novel is basically an adaptation of the PS1 Silent Hill game, except it's told in the form of a visual novel rather than focusing on actual gameplay like the original. You play as Harry Mason just as you did in the original Silent Hill, except instead of the usual run this way, okay leave me alone, kill that, take that, cry gameplay, it replaces it with more of an interactive storyline based on multiple choice questions that appear during certain main events and situations in the game that can both either alter the story and ending based on your response. Just like in classic Silent Hill fashion, there are certain puzzle-based scenarios that you do come across, and of course a slew of multiple endings based on all the decisions you've made thus far. Upon completion of the game, you do get to unlock an alternate story told by Cybele Bennett, and fun fact, there were actually 4 additional scenarios that were available to download in Japan, which followed a boy named Andy, Harry, and Cheryl's neighbor. Although according to online resources, Konami appeared to have ended the download service after some time. Fan translations of this game do exist, and if you're a big fan of the Silent Hill series and wish to play every game within it, I'd definitely check this one out. Number 4. Project Zero 2 Wii Edition. Project Zero, known as Fatal Frame in the West, is a survival horror series of games involving ghostly apparitions, haunting storytelling, and an exorcism type device known as the camera obscura. This game in particular is a remake of the original Fatal Frame 2 Crimson Butterfly, all with enhanced visuals, gameplay, and character models. The main improvement for this game is that it is now played in a third-person view, unlike the original, which was reminiscent of the early Resident Evil type camera angles. This entry for the series was released in Japan and Australia on June 28, 2012, and in Europe on June 29, 2012 for the Nintendo Wii. The story, just like the original, follows 2 twin sisters, Miyu and Mayu Amakura, while hanging around at their favorite childhood spot in the woods one day, find a path leading to an abandoned village where Mayu is later possessed by a vengeful spirit, thus leading Miyu to rescue her. Now, of course, the village is completely haunted, and your only efficient way of warding them off is with the camera obscura. As the story continues, you come across a lot of frightening jump scares, imagery, and even creepy dialogue that comes straight from your Wiimote. I honestly don't know why this game was never released in the US. I mean, it's just a revamped version of the game that was originally released in the US, and I'm sure that some avid fans of the series have never even heard of this entry. I mean, IGN said that this game was an enduring classic that every horror fan should have in their collection, and even Nintendo Gamer called it the best horror game on Wii by some margin. So why was this game not released in America? We like being scared too. If you're a fan of the series, find a way to play this game as you won't be disappointed. Number 3. Clock Tower. Clock Tower was a point-and-click survival horror game released for the Super Famicom on September 14, 1995. Not to be confused with the PS1 sequel of the same name, this specific game was never officially released outside of Japan. The story follows an orphan girl named Jennifer Simpson soon after she is adopted by the Burroughs family along with other orphan girls. One of the girls is later killed by the game's main antagonist, the Scissorman. Jennifer must then explore the unfamiliar Burroughs mansion in order to find means of an escape, evading and hiding from Scissorman every step of the way. The game is said to have sold fairly well overseas, and although the game was said to have had quite a tedious difficulty, it was still praised by gamers alike for its haunting, chilling atmosphere, and was considered a predecessor for other horror video games to come. A fan translation of this game does exist, and I really recommend checking this one out if you can. Number 2. Fatal Frame, Mask of the Lunar Eclipse. Zero Tsukiyami no Kamen, otherwise known as Fatal Frame, Mask of the Lunar Eclipse in the West, was a Japan-exclusive Fatal Frame game released on July 31, 2008 for the Nintendo Wii. Although this 4th installment of the series was announced for European release, it was never released outside of Japan. The game is set on the fictional Rogatsu Island and focuses on Ruka Minozaki, a girl who was held captive on the island who was later rescued but seems to be suffering from amnesia. Ruka and 2 other girls who were also held captive return back to the island in search of the truth of what really happened to them. The gameplay, just like other entries in the series, requires use of the camera obscura as the only means of fending off ghosts and evil spirits. Honestly, I'm not sure why this game wasn't released in the West, and as well as being cancelled in Europe. I believe it would have sold well, and I mean, come on, what horror fan doesn't want to play another Fatal Frame game, let alone add another game into their collection? It's even stated that when it released, it came to be the best-selling entry into the series at the time. This game also brought the third-person gameplay into the series, which later inspired it to be used in Project Zero 2 for the Wii, but oh yeah, we didn't get that one either. There was a fan translation released on January 19, 2010, 2 years after the game's initial release, but thanks to a team of dedicated fans, we can now enjoy another horror game that was never meant to see our sweet American soil. Number 1. Nanashi no Game, or The Nameless Game. Nanashi no Game, otherwise known as The Nameless Game, was a survival horror game released by Square Enix, yep, you heard that right, on July 3, 2008 in Japan for the Nintendo DS. The game revolves around a university student who one day decides to play an alleged cursed video game similar to that of Final Fantasy, only to be told that the person playing will die in 7 days upon starting the game. Yeah, straight up creepypasta stuff. Actually, let me reenact that real quick. It was just a regular day. A friend of mine had told me of a cursed game that had been escalating around that would allegedly kill you in 7 days after being played. I didn't buy into it, of course, but man, was I wrong. I later received a cartridge with no sign of a name or serial number in sight. I decided to find and open up my old Nintendo DS to see what game lied within its content. At the DS home screen, the game that loaded seemed to read 7 days left. I figured this had to be some type of hoax or maybe even a ROM hack of some other game, so I continued and clicked on the software. Immediately, I was simply prompted with the text, "New game." Huh? That's strange, I thought. There wasn't even a logo or anything to show what game I'd be playing, just a bunch of jumbled text. The game seemed to resemble that of an old-school NES game, looking more like another Final Fantasy clone, if anything, but something seemed off. The music was very dark and eerie, unlike that of any RPG game I've ever played. I also noticed as I walked my nameless avatar around that there were a lot of bugs and glitches appearing on the screen. Odd for a game such as this, but I'm assuming common in ROM hacks. I decided to talk to one of the NPCs in the game, who only told me, "Welcome traveler to the town of Varuna," no matter how many times I asked. Another NPC told me that today was the day of Varuna's annual festival. As I talked to more NPCs around town, I came across what seemed to be 2 men guarding an exit. One of them stated that the doors will not open until the festival is over. Just then, I felt an eerily cold mist hovering over my shoulder. Alright, well you get the idea. This is the greatest survival horror game on the Nintendo DS, in my opinion. No, actually it really is. It offers the perfect balance of horror and breaking the fourth wall because of the real-life involvement the game has by emulating a real-life DS home screen and making you feel as if you really are the main character of a horror story playing a cursed video game, waiting to see if the 7-day rumor is true. Fan translations of this game do exist, and although it was never released in the US, or anywhere besides Japan for that matter, I'd highly recommend that you look into it and check out this game for yourself, if you dare. Thanks guys for watching my video, and be sure to like and subscribe for more videos like this, and I'll see y'all next time.